Eminem is one of the richest and most famous rappers of all time, but you don't make it to the top without making enemies. And today, we're breaking down 5 times people try to run M's pockets with lawsuits. Eminem's been airing out his personal issues ever since he got into the game. His track My Name Is blew up back in 1999, and one of the lines says, 99% of my life I was lied to. I just found out my mom does more dope than I do. I told her I'd grow up to be a famous rapper, make a record about doing drugs, and name it after her. His mom Debbie got pressed over the lyrics and ended up suing her own son for $10 million for defamation. M's lawyer Paul Rosenberg said everything he said can be verified as true. Truth is an absolute defense to a claim of defamation. This lawsuit does not come as a surprise to Eminem. Regardless, it is still painful to be sued by your mother, and therefore, the lawsuit will only be dealt with through legal channels. Em and his mom had a rocky relationship his whole life, but suing your own kid is wild. In 2001, a judge awarded her a $25K settlement, but she only got $1,600 after paying her lawyer. Losing the case didn't stop M from rapping about his mom. A year later, he dropped Cleaning Out My Closet, where he said, witnessing your mama popping prescription pills in the kitchen, that someone's always going through her purse and shit's missing, going through public housing systems, victim of Munchausen syndrome. My whole life, I was made to believe I was sick when I wasn't. Till I grew up, now I blew up, it makes you sick to your stomach. He even wrote a whole track about a drug addiction on his Relapse album. On the song My Mom, he says, my mom loved volume and lots of drugs. That's why I am like I am, cause I'm like her. M isn't the only one who has issues with his mom. After the suit was settled, her lawyer Fred Gibson told ABC News, this is not the last laugh, because she was the most high maintenance client I've had in my legal career. In 2013, M dropped the track Highlights and said he took things too far back in the day. One bar says, cause to this day, we remain estranged and I hate it though, cause you ain't even get to witness your grandbabies grow. But I'm sorry mama for cleaning out my closet. At the time I was angry, rightfully, maybe so. M and his mom still aren't close, but at least they kept the rest of their issues out of the courtroom. M's relationship with his mom was bad, but the situation with his ex-wife Kim was even worse. They met in high school and started dating back in 1989. In 95, they had their daughter Haley, but they kept splitting up and getting back together. Then in 2000, M dropped the track Kim, where he raps about murdering her and burying the body. Kim ended up filing a lawsuit against him for $10 million and tried to get full custody of Haley. Before the news broke about her suing him, M talked about how he had played the track for her. He said, she listened to it and she looked at me and she was like, you are really crazy. And she doesn't want to listen to the song anymore. And to tell you the truth, I don't really listen to the song anymore. By the time the lawsuit was filed, Eminem and Kim had already been separated for a few months. In June 2000, M assaulted a bouncer named John Guerra after he saw Kim kissing him. He had already been arrested the day before for pulling a gun out during an argument with a dude named Douglas Dale. M was arrested for hitting the bouncer too, but that assault charge got dropped when he pleaded guilty to possession of a concealed weapon and got hit with 2 years of probation.
That justice would be satisfied in this case and the objectives of the court of the law be satisfied by following the probation recommendation. I am going to sentence the defendant to 2 years probation.
In 2006, Kim and Eminem got married for the second time, but it only lasted 3 months before they divorced again. Rumors were flying in 2010 that they were dating again, but M squashed them and said they were cool now, but definitely not together. They settled Kim's lawsuit out of court, so nobody knows exactly how much she got off him. Even though M didn't do any time for assaulting John Guerra, he did end up having to pay out. Guerra sued him for assault and intentional infliction of emotional distress. According to Guerra, he actually thought M was going to kill him. He said, I truly believe he was going to kill me. He was in such a rage. I actually lived through a nightmare and survived the nightmare. Here's how it all allegedly went down, according to the prosecutor. M went to his homie Gary Kozlowski's house and was mad because Kim was at a bar with another dude. Gary drove M to the bar, and that's when they allegedly saw Kim and Guerra kissing. M hopped out the car and pointed his unloaded gun at Guerra, and then started pistol whipping him. M had to pay out $100K to Guerra over the fight, and he turned the whole thing into a skit on the Eminem show. He also rapped about it on the track Soldier and said, I'm a lit fuse. Anything I do, just snooze. Pistol whip a motherfucking bouncer 6'2". But later on the same album, M calls Guerra a liar and says he just punched him. On the track Sing for the Moment, M says, if I'm such a fucking menace, this shit doesn't make sense, B. It's all political. If my music is literal and I'm a criminal, how the f can I raise a little girl? I couldn't. I wouldn't be fit to. "You're full of shit too, Guerrera. That was a fist that hit you." He mispronounced Guerra's name on the track, but that's probably just so he can avoid another lawsuit. When Eminem dropped the Slim Shady LP back in '99, he called out his childhood bully on the track Brain Damage and said, "Way before my daughter Haley, I was harassed daily by this fat kid named D'Angelo Bailey, an 8th grader who acted obnoxious because his father boxes, so every day he shoved me in the lockers. One day, he came in the bathroom while I was pissing and had me in the position and beat me into submission. He banged my head against the urinal till I broke my nose, soaked my clothes in blood, grabbed me, and choked my throat." After the album dropped, D'Angelo Bailey told Rolling Stone, "There was a bunch of us that used to mess with him, you know, bully type things. We flipped him right on his head at recess. When we didn't see him moving, we took off running. We lied and said he slipped on the ice." M's mom tried to sue the school district in 1982 and said that bullying caused M to have headaches, nausea, and antisocial behavior. And even though he admitted to bullying M, Bailey filed a $1 million defamation suit against him in 2001. According to the suit, M hurt Bailey's rep and caused him humiliation, anger, and embarrassment. A couple years later, a judge threw the case out and spit a bar to explain why she wasn't giving Bailey the money. She said, "Mr. Bailey complains that his rap is trash, so he's seeking compensation in the form of cash. Bailey thinks he's entitled to some monetary gain because Eminem used his name in vain. The lyrics are stories no one would take as fact. They're an exaggeration of a childish act." Bailey tried to appeal the ruling, but in 2005, another judge handed down the same verdict. Unfortunately, this time, they didn't rhyme though. M faced another lawsuit in 2002 after a French pianist named Jacques Lugier sued him for $10 million. According to Lugier, M and Dr. Dre stole his music for the track Kill You. He told Rolling Stone, "My son heard it and told me that was my music played on this record. So that is why I've been listening to it. And, of course, it's so obvious that it was a copy of my music." M and Dre allegedly stole the melody from Lugier's track Pollution. He said, "It's more than similar, the harmonies are the same, the pitch is the same, the tune, the melody, everything except for one small note is all the same." By this point, the Marshall Mathers LP had already sold 8 million copies, but Lugier wanted stores to stop selling it and all copies to be destroyed. Obviously, that didn't happen, but M did have to settle out of court with him and dish out some cash. M stayed out of the courts for a while, but in 2008, a dude named Maya Jarboe sued him for allegedly punching him in a strip club bathroom. According to the suit, Maya and his homie were at a strip club in 2006 when they ran into M. Maya's homie said, "Hey Eminem, what's up man?" Then M's bodyguard told him, "Shut the fuck up man, don't say another word." Maya tried to cool the situation down and said, "Hey man, my friend ain't starting trouble, it's just cool to see Eminem." That's when M allegedly stepped up to Mayad and punched him in the face. It allegedly went down in 2006, but for some reason, Mayad didn't file a lawsuit until 2 years later. He wanted $25K in damages, but it's not clear how everything shook out. But since it was his word against M's, there's a good chance the whole thing got thrown out. There was a period of 13 years where M had at least one lawsuit every year. In 2005, his aunt and uncle sued him because he allegedly promised them a $350,000 house, but then tried to evict them. He took Apple to court in 2007 over royalties, and in 2013, a Chicago rap crew named Hot Styles sued him for $8 million after he sampled their track Lookin' Boy on his song Rap God. He settled the case out of court again, so it's not clear how much Hot Styles made from the suit. Estimates say M has spent over $4 million just in lawyer fees over the years, but obviously, his pockets can handle it. When you're one of the biggest rappers of all time, throwing a few mil around in court is nothing.